We were lying on the beach and we thought we could hear fireworks going off. And eventually I seen the gunman run up from the beach and he started firing at everybody. He changed the magazine. By that time I just shouted at everybody to start running because there was somebody coming up the beach with a gun. Everybody scattered. We all ran for the restaurant. As we got to the restaurant, he was running around the other side to come into the restaurant, so I told everybody to go to their rooms. Eventually the firing stopped, it went quiet. So I told Sarah to stop into the room, and I seen 3 or 4 bodies lying on the steps just outside my room. So I jumped off the top of the balcony bit, went down the steps and along the wall, went to the first body. They were dead. I seen the guy that was lying bleeding out. I went over to him. I didn't even ask him his name because I was that concerned that he was bleeding. I shoved the towel into his leg to stop it from bleeding and put a tourniquet on him and told him to lie down. He was more concerned about his wife, but his wife was lying above him and she was already dead, and I didn't want to tell him. And the gunman was just around the corner, about not even 50 metres away from us. There was another lad called Keith, which was ex-army. He come round the corner, kept his head down with us while we were with the gentleman. I had to tell him to his face that his wife was dead and he was going into shock. So we happed his wife up, and the gunman was busy that meanwhile with a gun on his back with a phone taking photographs of the bodies and laughing.
What?
After that, we ran up to the top of the building, which a gentleman was deaf, walking down shouting for his wife. Then the gunman turned around and started firing at him. I ran up. And took him behind the pillar, and while the gunman shot at him, took out the coffee table. Then he started running up towards the two. I threw him in a room and basically jumped underneath the settee and he threw a grenade. Then after that, it went dead quiet. We went into the room, which I locked him in the room and told him to be quiet for a while. And then we heard some voices, so I come back out the room. So there was some Tunisian armed guards by then. I went down to see if the guy was still okay. By that time the soldiers had come. And I basically sat with the guy for a little bit, and then the medics come and took him away. I went back to the room to see if Sarah was okay.
And Sarah, I mean, I know, just listening to Paul and clearly the effect that this has had on you both. I know Paul used to be in the Territorial Army and he's a tough guy, but what you've both been through is unimaginable. And at that moment where you're trying to be safe and Paul, meanwhile, is out trying to help people, you know, while the gunman's still at loose, you must have been petrified.
Well, after he left me in the room and closed the door, there was actually 2 gun shots went off, and my immediate thought was it was Paul and Keith, and I just sat in the room screaming and crying, and until I saw him, I basically thought he was dead. And then when he came around, I actually gave him wrong for leaving me, but then I knew what he had done was the right thing for Paul, because that's just the sort of person he is. He just thinks about other people before he thinks about himself.
It's an incredible act of bravery, Paul, to go back into the fire to try and help as many people as you possibly could. The 2 of you are back in the UK now, and we can see just how difficult it is for you going back over the events of Friday. What's it been like coming back, and how do you feel about going forward and trying to get past what happened?
Well, at the minute, I'm just pleased that we're back, and I would like to thank Thompson for doing as much as they could for us, which they did. They got us back safely. They looked after us well. They couldn't do much. Even the staff inside the hotel, they were on their days off, and they come back and try to help different people as well. They were really concerned about people, and I wasn't really bothered about myself. I was just thinking about people that were dying.
And what about the future, Paul? Do you think in time you'll be able to put the attack behind you?
Eventually I will, yeah. I'm going back to work tomorrow, so I'll be bright and early tomorrow again just to go back to work.
Ellie actually sat up and saw the gunman.
So what did you see, Ellie?
I just happened to look up to the right-hand side of us at the right time and just see this gunman